Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second episode of Facebook Live for Kids. Today's program is called A Bear's Nose Knows Best, and so we'll be talking all about a bear's nose, their great sense of smell, and compare that to our sense of smell. So we'll get started here in just a minute. As a reminder, we are doing these kids programs every Tuesday at 2:00 p.m., so we hope you can join us. All right, so to kick off our second episode of Bear's Nose Knows Best, we just want to recap what we've learned so far from our first kids episode. So black bears are omnivores. That's the kind of eater they are. They eat both meat and vegetation. They use those upper canines for ripping their meat, the incisors for cutting through plants and fruit, and their molars for grinding really hard food such as nuts up into small pieces so they can swallow it. They also use those long, sharp claws for climbing and digging up roots and other sources of food. So our question of the day today is, how well can black bears smell? So me and you can smell. We know a lot of other animals have a great sense of smell, but how well do black bears, or bears in general specifically, how good is their sense of smell? So this is a really good early Native American saying that kind of wraps it all up for us. It says, a pine needle fell in the forest, the eagle saw it, the deer heard it, and the bear smelled it. So that just kind of gives you a really strong base for how good a sense of smell bears have. So it looks like here the eagle saw it, which means they have a great sense of eyesight. The deer heard it, really good alerts hearing from deer, and then the bear smelled it. So many agree that bears have the greatest sense of smell in the entire animal kingdom. So that's really hard to believe. It's crazy to even imagine. A black bear's sense of smell is actually 7 times greater than a bloodhound's. So think of a bloodhound, guys. These dogs are used to track animals and find missing people, as well as just can smell out objects. And black bears can smell 7 times greater than that. Black bears have been known to lead them to track food up to 2 to 3 miles away, and it's possible that they can even pick up scents 18 to 20 miles away, which is crazy. And polar bears are the most likely bear out of all of the bear species to have the best sense of smell. They have been recorded and known to track seal carcasses up to 40 miles away, as well as also able to smell and track seals through 3 feet of solid ice. So here is just an illustration to give you a better idea. We're going to compare a human sense of smell to the bloodhound and then to a black bear. So here in a minute, we're going to have the race start, and you'll see little green squares pop up, and that is supposed to represent 100 yards, so 1 football field. So for example, for the first one, if a human can smell a grill from 100 yards away, we're going to see how many football fields a bloodhound versus a black bear could smell that same grill. All right, so that's pretty impressive in and of itself. So we got the human up there, 1 football field, the bloodhound down there. Look at all those football fields away. He can smell that grill. And then now let's see how the black bear can smell it. All right, so that is very, very impressive. You can see just how many slides of football fields that bear could smell. Like I said, they can smell 7 times what a bloodhound can smell. And so obviously here, our black bear is the winner of this smell challenge. So how are bears able to smell so well? What makes them such good smellers? So next we're going to take a look at a skull and a little bit of bear's anatomy. Curator Coy and his son Colton are going to explore that a little bit with a live bear skull, and we will get to see a close-up view of inside a bear's nose and really explore why that nose is such a strong scent.
Hello everyone, Curator Coy here, and today I have junior biologist Colton Blair with me here again today. So I was able to talk Colton into coming back and helping us out and being my partner here and helping me out demonstrate a bear knows best. So just like our title says, and today we're going to be showing you a black bear skull, and specifically inside of the nasal cavity. So with that, we'll get started, and this is the same skull we used last week to demonstrate the 3 different types of teeth that we talked about in the bear hardware teeth and claws episode. So I have right here a lot. Thank you, Curator Janet. She got Colton and Landon. So Colton and his younger brother, one of these little bear lots, and just seems to work. So we're going to use this today to illuminate inside this nasal cavity. So I don't know, hopefully you all can see that pretty good. Colton, can you use your other hand and hold it up a little bit? There we go. So those bony structures inside there's a lot of them. Colton, how would you describe their appearance? What do they look like?
It looks like a little tiny, like cut into paper, like paper that you cut in small bits.
Yeah, it does. Kind of like thin paper, white paper, like bones, though. So they are bony structures, and we biologists call these turbinates. And so what do turbinates do? Turbinates are inside the nasal cavities of vertebrates, and, well, there's a big word, vertebrates. You remember me talking to you about vertebrates?
Yeah.
Vertebrates and invertebrates?
Mm-hmm. Vertebrates are ones that don't have spines, have spines, and invertebrates don't have spines. Like mostly of invertebrates, a lot of invertebrates live on land, and except for bugs that just grow on the ground and stuff, they only have thorax and stuff like that for their backs. And
yep, they have like an exoskeleton.
yeah.
Those kinds of invertebrates. So, yeah, so like junior biologist Colton just said, vertebrates have spines. So humans, so us, we're vertebrates, and bears are vertebrates. And so vertebrates are going to have these turbinates. Here, hold that up for me, buddy. Vertebrates are going to have these turbinates inside of their nasal cavities. And so what do they do? Well, you can see, like I've mentioned a few times here, there's a lot of them in a bear's skull. And we actually have them too. We don't have near as many. In fact, a bear has a whole lot more. A dog has a whole lot more than we do. And what they do is we have these specialized cells, and the name of those cells, it's part of the olfactory epithelium. So it's a thin layer of tissue that has all of these neurons or receptors for odors or scents, different smells. So before we get started with all of that terminology and big words, olfactory. When you think of let me give you an idea. So when I say auditory, I'm talking about hearing. When I say olfactory, what do you think we're talking about? Given today's episode about the nose. Smelling. That's exactly right. Good job, buddy. Yeah. So the olfactory epithelium is basically a bunch of cells that help you smell good. And the turbinates provide a home for all these cells to exist and to lay on. And so the reason a bear can smell so good and so much better than us humans and other animals is because they have all of these turbinates. And so therefore they have more homes or more room for all of these smell receptors, these neurons, the olfactory epithelium. So Curator Torrey will talk a little bit more about all of this in a second, but there's two parts to the olfactory or the smelling system of vertebrates. And the first part is going to be the turbinates and the olfactory epithelium. So those smell cells, those cells that allow us to smell really good, those little pieces that allow, scents and odors to come into our nasal cavity. And then the second part that Tori will talk about consists of the olfactory bulb, which is an organ in the front part or the forebrain, or front part of the brain or the forebrain. And the olfactory bulb is what's going to take all of these odors that are recognized by the olfactory epithelium and transmit or carry those messages, those smelling messages, kind of like a text message for smells. It's going to carry those into the brain, and then the brain is going to tell us what we are smelling. So it's pretty cool. And bears are able to do this really good because they have all of these turbinates, or this bony structure inside the nasal cavity that allows them to have more smell receptors. So hopefully all that makes sense, but the general take home is all of these turbinates allow animals to be good smellers, and the more turbinates you have, the more smelling cells or neurons that you can have in the nasal cavity. Is that pretty cool? Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
All right, so thank you, Curator Coy and Junior Biologist Colton, for that wonderful explanation. I'm going to talk a little bit more now about that olfactory bulb. Here you can see it on a person, and so kind of like Curator Coy talked about, first the turbinates, which are those paper-like, kind of looks like a honeycomb up inside the bear's skull, pick up all those smells, and it works a lot like a sponge. So they soak up all those smells in those turbinates, which are in the epithelium. Then these are sent to the olfactory bulb, which you can see there in the yellow on this person. The olfactory bulb is a structure in the brain that's involved in olfaction, and all of this means sense of smell. And once the olfactory bulb picks that up, that smell gets sent to the amygdala, where it's processed in the brain and lets you know what it is you're smelling, and for a bear, how far away it is. So for a bear, it might be some yummy food, something they want to go scavenge on, or it could also be a human that they want to stay away from and avoid. So we talked about how much greater a bear's sense of smell is, and if you can see that olfactory bulb in the yellow there on the human brain, a bear's olfactory bulb is 5 times the size of a human's. So it will look a little something like this. It takes up a lot more room, and as you can imagine, because it is so much bigger, it does a much better job at detecting smells from farther away. Another cool tip about bears' sense of smell is that within their olfactory bulb, they have different zones. So their olfactory bulb is so big and it works so hard for figuring out what those different smells are that it actually is divided up into different zones. And so this is an example of a bear's olfactory bulb, and it is split up into 4 zones, as you can see, and that really helps pick apart and depict what they're smelling. So we know why a bear's sense of smell is so good. We looked a little bit at the biology and anatomy of that, but how does a bear use its nose? So the main reasons and ways a bear would use its great sense of smell is to find food. Another way is to keep track of one another. So a mother bear and her cubs, that helps them figure out where each other is and make sure that no one gets lost. Another good way to use their sense of smell is to detect danger. So like I said, if they smell a human or they smell another bear, they know where their boundary is and when to turn away. So the next couple of videos, we have different clips of some ABR bears when they use their sense of smell. So this bear here, you'll see, it looks like the wind comes through, and you'll see that in the grasses, and he picks up something that smells pretty good. All right, in this next video, you'll see the bear munching on, it looks like a leftover bone. And then again, if you watch the grasses and the vegetation around, depending on the wind, you can see when the wind comes in, and you'll see him get a whiff of something really good. I really like that video as well, because you can see as soon as he picks up that smell, his ears also move a little bit forward and perk up to kind of use his other senses too, use his sense of hearing to figure out what it is he's smelling. And then you can also see the bear almost opening his mouth and like tasting the smell in the air. So you know how sometimes when you smell something, you can almost taste it? I would imagine if you were a bear, that would be just about accurate. You could smell so much better, so much farther away that they might even be able to taste it. All right, and this last video shows a bear who might have smelled something that scared him or showed him that, you know, there might be danger around. So you'll see him perk up and then actually run away after he smells what it is he's smelling. All right, so you could see him retreat there back under the acclimation pen. Something about this clip I just want to point out, you might have seen him standing up on his hind legs. It looks kind of funny, but in all of the Hollywood movies, they always show a great big bear standing up on its hind legs and roaring before it attacks or it's being aggressive. I just want to make note that that is all Hollywood and movies. That is not true. When a bear stands up on its hind legs, it's actually just curious and trying to get a better scent, better sight, and figure out what it is that it's smelling, seeing, or hearing. It is not an aggressive behavior. All right, so what can affect a bear's sense of smell? These three things, we have wind, temperature, and humidity. Those things heavily influence how well a bear can smell in different weather. So wind direction can heavily influence a bear's sense of smell. If you can imagine, it depends on which way the wind is going, and if you're upwind or downwind from a bear, whether it'll smell you before it hears you. Temperature is also a really big factor. So scents are more intense in warmer spring and summer months as opposed to the winter time. And this is because as temperatures rise, odor molecules are moving more quickly and are more likely to get picked up by an animal like a bear. In humidity, more humidity helps the scent travel more intensely. So on those really hot, sticky, humid days, there's more water particles in the air, which provides more vessels for those scent chemicals to be transferred through to bears or other animals who are smelling. All right, so let's move on to our activity and practice smelling like a bear. So this activity requires you to have 3 to 4 different smells, and you can just have them out or you can put them in different containers, and you blindfold your partner, your friend, your child, whoever you're doing this activity with, and see if they can identify these 4 mystery scents solely with their nose. So some different scents that we recommended on our Facebook were things such as apples, oranges, bananas, coffee, vanilla extract, and cinnamon, but you can use a different array of things as well. Whatever you have at home will probably work. Things like soap, vinegar are also good options. So today, since this is a virtual activity, we're going to leave you with the directions of how to do it and let you do that later on your own time. However, our curator, Coy, did this with his 2 sons. So we'll have Colton and Landon try this activity out and see how well they can smell with their eyes covered and just using their nose.
Hello, everyone. Curator Coy and junior biologist Colton here.
Blair.
Colton Blair, and so we thought it'd be kind of neat for Colton and Landon. So Colton's younger brother, my youngest son Landon, for both of them to try the smell test challenge that you all are hopefully participating in today as well. So Colton has no idea what's in these 4 coffee cups here with napkins over them. So I will try to show the camera so that you all can see, without him seeing, because I'm going to blindfold him. I'm not going to take a chance on him cheating. Not that he's a cheater, but we're going to do it right and scientific as we can. And we'll get started with the first cup. So with that, Colton, let's pull this down.
Oh, man.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you smell? Is your sniffer covered up?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Just stay
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
you.
Stay there. Oh, nice. All right. Here comes the first one. Hold on. Let me show everyone what this is. Keep it over your eyes.
I'm covering my eyes extra.
Okay. Now, all right. Put your hands down. Close your eyes too, just in case. Take a whiff of that. What's that smell like?
It smells like orange.
Okay.
Is it?
Oh, you'll find out in a minute. We're going to go to the next one. So, keep that on. And this is, not yet, Colton. This is the next one. Okay, let me take this off. Now, smell right here.
I know what it is.
Well, don't look.
I'm just pulling this up.
What's it smell like?
It smells like cinnamon.
Okay. Now, I know there's one in here somewhere, and I'm not sure which is which, that I think kids are probably going to have a hard time with. Let's see. Let's see right here. Yeah, it's probably this one. Don't look yet. Okay. Now, ready? What's that smell like?
It smells like sugar.
Like sugar?
Mm-hmm. Well,
You want to try one more guess?
can I just smell it one more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, don't chew on it.
I get smell a lot in my house, so it's probably sugar. I'll go ahead.
Go with sugar? Okay. Hold on. Keep it on. We got one more. Now, keep it on.
Keep my sniffer on.
I'll show everybody on the camera what you're smelling. They can see that. Okay. Now, keep it on. Get you a whiff of that.
Oh, I definitely know it.
What is that?
It's coffee.
It's coffee?
No, it's coffee stuff.
Coffee stuff. Okay. All right. Let's see how many you got right. So, this is the one you said was coffee.
No, it's coffee stuff.
Or coffee stuff. Okay. This was the hard one. Let me show you what it was. Vanilla extract. It's vanilla. That's a tricky one. All right. We don't want to be too loud. I don't want to give it away to Landon. Okay. That's cinnamon. And you got it right.
Yes, and that was oranges.
And you knew that. So good job. Tell everybody bye.
Bye. My brother's going to come next.
All right, so good job, Colton. He got 3 out of the 4 items right. And next, we're going to have one more kid try the activity out.
Hello everyone, Curator
Hello,
Coy
everyone.
back again, and I have Colton's younger brother, my youngest son, Landon, with me today.
Langton Blair.
Landon Blair. So, Landon's 5, and he's also going to be doing the smell challenge with us. So with that, we're going to go ahead and blindfold him. We don't want him to have any visual cues. And I didn't cover his sniffer up. Where's your sniffer at? Point to it. Right there. Okay. All right. Keep the blindfold on. And here comes the first smell test. I want you to, I've got a cup right here. Sniff in there and tell me what you smell.
I smell orange.
Okay. Keep your blindfold on. And then we're going to do the next one. And the next one, keep your blindfold on. I'm going to show everybody on camera what you're smelling. I think you can see that. Okay, let's get a whiff of this.
It smells
What's it
like
smell like?
cinnamon.
Cinnamon, okay. Now we're going to go to the next one. And hold on a second. Let me put this here in front of the camera so everybody watching can see, hopefully, what this is. Okay, now, what's that smell like?
It smells like some kind of makeup.
Some kind of makeup? Hold on, keep your blindfold on. What else does it smell like? Think about things that you eat. You don't eat makeup. What do you eat that would smell like?
That's easy.
One more guess.
It smells like some kind of jungle juice makeup drink.
Jungle juice makeup drink. Okay. We've never had that here, so keep your blindfold on. We got one more. Keep it on. Okay. Now, get a whiff of this.
Oh, that's so easy. Coffee.
You think it's coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold it up here, and let's go over how many you
I
got.
love pirate.
You said coffee? That was coffee. The one you said it smelled like jungle juice makeup drink was vanilla. This one's hard. I don't think hardly any kid's going to get that. Bubba didn't get this one either. What about cinnamon and oranges? Of course. All right, tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Say thank you.
All right, so Landon as well came in with the 3 out of 4 guesses. They did a great job, and this is such an easy activity that you can do as well in your classroom, in your home, in your kitchen, and we really encourage you guys to try it out. So as we saw, both of Curator Coy's sons got 3 out of the 4 right. When you guys try it out, let us know how many you got right, and do you think a bear would get them right? Knowing how far that they can smell, I would say they definitely would get them right. They probably could even smell them outside of your house and down the road. So why do we as humans care about bears' senses of smell? Well, the main reason is that a bear's sense of smell is oftentimes the one thing that gets them into trouble the most with humans. So whether they're smelling garbage, whether they're smelling our yummy barbecue, they always want to come looking for that. They can smell it up to 18 miles away. So if they get a really good whiff of your barbecue meal that you're cooking, they're going to want to come and check that out because it smells a lot better than the food they're eating. So here is a little interactive activity I've put together for you. So there are 5 different bear attractants here at this campsite. I'm going to give you a minute to see if you can pick them out, and then we'll talk about why bears are so attracted to these specific smells and how you can best store things properly in order to keep bears and yourself safe. All right, so how did you do? We'll go over these one by one. So as you can see, these are the 5 attractants. First, over there on the left, we have a bird feeder. Bird feeders are a really, really bad attractant for wild bears. We often call these the gateway drug to a food habituated bear. So once a bear finds a bird feeder, they oftentimes never leave, and from that point on, they are very accustomed to staying around humans and civilization in homes where they can find other similar food sources. A bird feeder is filled with calories, and all they have to do is knock it down with a swat of a paw, and they have a ton of food that can last them. So in order to stay safe in bear country, we actually recommend putting your bird feeders away when bears are active. So only putting them out in the wintertime when bears are in hibernation. That's when the birds need help with food sources the most anyways, and that's when the bears are asleep for the winter, and so they won't come looking for that bird feed. So putting them away in the spring through the fall, and you can put them back out in the winter, is the best practice in bear country. Secondly, we see that pup down there eating some dog food. Pet food is another large attractant. So for these, we ask, if you're camping, don't just leave dog food out. You want to store it in your car, maybe in a bear-resistant container that they have on site. You never want to leave your pet food out on your porch for long extended periods of time. And you always want to make sure that that's locked up in a garage or some secure building. Moving on to the tent, you can see that this camper wanted to bring a hot dog and some snacks into his tent for the night. That is probably one of the most common no-nos you'll hear from people in bear country. You never want to take food with you into your tent. That will just cause a bear to come looking, and the smell's coming from inside the tent, and that's also where you are. So you definitely don't want a very curious bear to come along and try to figure out how to get into that tent where you are. Kind of going along with that, you'll see that grill really close to the tent. So you don't want to cook super close to your tent, and you also don't want to wear the same clothes you've cooked with to bed or store them inside the tent, because you at that point will just smell like a big old barbecue chicken. You definitely don't want to store your clothes or wear the same clothes you were barbecuing with back into your tent. And like I said, that grill is pretty close to the tent. You always want to make sure, too, you clean up your grill after you're done using it. So even if you're done, there could be residue left behind on the grill, and the bear can still smell that and be interested in coming to look. And then lastly, over there you see that trash can. I'm sure you all are familiar with bear-resistant trash cans, and that is definitely not one of them. You want to make sure that you're storing food scraps, any waste away in a bear-resistant container, and that trash can is definitely not bear-resistant. A bear could come along, knock that over, eat all that yummy stuff up, and then maybe come looking for the hot dog in the tent. All right, so a bear's sense of smell, it helps them with a lot of things, helps them keep track of their cubs, helps them find food, helps them let them know where there's danger. But we can also use their greatest sense against them in order to protect ourselves. So one of the best, actually the best protection against a bear that's being aggressive towards you or charging is bear spray. So you'll see in the picture here, an example is that counter assault down in the corner, and it's a great safety measure for anyone hiking in bear country. It's been shown to be 90% effective with black bears, 92% effective with brown bears, and 100% effective with polar bears. And it's proven to be more effective than any other safety measure you can take in bear country. And that's because, like I said, it uses their greatest sense against them. So within bear spray is a chemical called capsaicin. And capsaicin comes from the hottest peppers you can imagine. So when you spray this towards a bear that's acting aggressive or coming towards you in a threatening, charging manner, that discharges that capsaicin into a big cloud. So imagine taking the hottest hot sauce you can imagine, rubbing it all over your eyeballs, shoving it up your nose, swallowing it, and then probably sticking some of those peppers in your ears too. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? And that's what it does to the bears. So it really stops them in their tracks and sends them on their way. It shows them not to mess with people. They don't want anything to do with you after that. And the good thing is after about 45 minutes, that bear will recover and be just fine. So it keeps you and the bear safe. So some of our take-home messages for today's lesson. Bears have one of the greatest noses of all animals in the animal kingdom. Bears use their noses to find food, each other, and to stay safe. And a bear's nose can also get them into trouble if we are not careful when living near them. So we want to make sure we're storing all of those smell good items, household items, trash, and storing those in a really safe way so that we can keep them out of trouble and therefore keep ourselves out of trouble as well. All right, and that is our lesson for today. I'll throw up the Facebook Live Kids Edition schedule one more time here at the end for you guys to take a look. Next week, we'll be talking about bear hair, a compromise between care and comfort. So we'll learn all about their fur, what different hair is used for what colors a black bear could be, because, yep, they can be different colors than black. And so that'll be our next episode on Tuesday, April 14th. And that's all we have for you today. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys get a chance to try out that smell test activity. And I hope you learned something. A bear's sense of smell is one of the most amazing things on the world. And I've known about it for a long time, and I'm still just amazed. So I hope you guys got to learn something too. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday. This is Curator Tori signing off.